Who's guilty of losing your authentic self to a society-driven norm? If the answer is yes, stick around. I'm Drew Stevens, founder of Beyond the Legacy, and this is my Monday Reflection. If you go back to childhood, everything starts as a blank canvas and then morphs into a narrative of life choices and life experiences. We become an evolution of the family that raised us, the environment we grew up in, the people we surround ourselves with, the positive and negative experiences we go through in life, and the societal pressure we see around us on TV, on social media, in the magazines, in sports and entertainment, and beyond. Everyone's present state is a reflection of your previous life choices and decisions. You can grow up in the same household, the same neighborhood, in the same community, and produce two totally different outcomes 10 to 20 years later. While our past can speak to the future, we also have a brain, instincts, and intuition, and that will guide us along in life. We can use our past as an excuse as to why we aren't happy or successful in the present, or we can simply focus on the now, in addition to the steps and progress you're looking to make in life in the present and near future. We're all guilty of letting ego and pride blur our vision and authenticity. Too often we get lost in what society normalizes, what people standardize, what the public figures and influential people that surround us deem essential. People are often afraid to fail. I feel the larger narrative and concern is the fact that most people are uncomfortable with not just failing, but the criticism and judgment they may receive from others. It's a great example as to why people shy away from starting a podcast or sharing their thoughts on social media. My counter to that is you'll have critics your whole life, regardless of the greatness you achieve. Focus on the good that could come from what you have to offer the world. Think about gym class back in the day. Some of us were not athletically gifted. Some might have felt insecure about looking foolish in front of their peers. On the flip side, let's go to the classroom. Who remembers your teacher posing a question and randomly calling on someone in the class to answer it? In this moment, if you were unprepared, you may have avoided eye contact, looked away. Your heart was probably racing and filled with anxiety. If you had prepared for the moment, your confidence level and reaction would have been night and day. Your hand would have been raised, you'd be smiling, you'd be staring directly into the teacher's eyes, and they can see how anxious and excited you are to answer that question. And ultimately, that's the difference. When you prepare for what is to come tomorrow, and we're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to be able to solve and have a blueprint and a cheat code for everything that's going to come your way. But doing your best to prepare for tomorrow is at least the first step. Some people have been compared their whole life to their siblings or cousins from an achievement standpoint, or something as superficial as who's more popular, who's in better shape, who's taller, who's better looking, who's more successful. The bottom line is ignore comparisons and love what makes you authentic and unique. Think about weddings and events that have a dance floor. There's people that love to dance, and when the music hits, they're front and center on the dance floor. Then there's the people that might be a little insecure to get out there and prefer to sit back and watch. Especially if the people on the dance floor can really dance. Once again, some people are more afraid to look foolish in front of others. And while behind closed doors, those same people might be singing in the car or dancing in the privacy of their own home. Their pride and ego can get in the way of being their authentic self. More and more of us are getting back to vacationing, weekend trips, and going to the beach this summer. It's no secret body image is a natural insecurity. We often envision in our minds what we're supposed to look like poolside or on the beach, but the reality is quite different. The reality we walk into is a blend of people of all shapes and sizes, and it's not a 90s music video of male and female models. At the end of the day, the minute you stop worrying about what others may think of you and live for yourself is the moment clarity and peace begins. I'm going to repeat that. The minute you stop worrying about what others may think of you and live for yourself is the moment clarity and peace begins. To put a bow on this conversation, I feel it's important to be your authentic self. It's easy to lose yourself when you allow your ego, pride, and sometimes the people around you to steer you to the dark side. Here's a few takeaways to live by. Number 1, own it. You are your own person. While you might be a hybrid of your parents and the generations that came before you, you control your narrative and your happiness. You have the ability to break the mold of the family traditions and the generational narrative that came before you. Number 2, love yourself. It's easier said than done, but with time, experience, and wisdom, you'll learn to love yourself and be more mindful of your inner peace. While this statement might not make sense to a teenager or someone in your 20s, trust me, as you experience life, it will all make sense. Number 3, don't be afraid to fail. We established that most people dislike the idea of failing. To every point of adversity, there is a silver lining. It's up to you to learn from it and do something about it, unless you want history to repeat itself. We are not naturals in everything in life. We have the ability to step outside of our comfort zones, no matter how scary it may seem, to evolve as human beings. Number 4, don't let adversity strip away your authenticity. Try not to become the negative you experienced. Too often we lose the fibers of what makes us unique or authentic in reaction to the negative or adversity we endure from our past. It's easy to let emotions and societal pressure drive our reaction and life choices. It takes a stronger person to stay true and take the high road when their ego or pride is tested. The famous hip-hop artist JayZ was on the HBO show The Shop, and he shared a pretty cool story that's relatable to most fathers and parents out there. He never knew how to swim. When his daughter was born, he stepped outside of his comfort zone and immediately learned how to swim. He basically said, as a father, if my daughter fell into the pool, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I couldn't save her. That's a single example of not letting your past dictate your present. You can't always use your past as an excuse for the things you can't achieve in the present. It's also a friendly reminder that it's never too late to make changes in your life and evolve. Never underestimate the lengths you'll go and the sacrifices you'll make for your children and the people you love. The next time you're faced with adversity, don't be afraid to process your thoughts and even turn to a friend. That's your trusted sounding board or voice of reason. It's easy to fall back on your pride and ego. It's much harder to remain your authentic self and to own who you are and who you want to be. If this reflection resonated with you, feel free to like, comment, and share on social. Never underestimate the power of sharing positive content across your community. You could be responsible for passing this reflection along to the right person at the right time when they need it the most. Be sure to follow us at BT Legacy 365 on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of my written content, reflections, and short stories can be found at beyondthelegacy.com.